Hey, it's Lon Welsh at Your Castle Real Estate, and I want to talk a little bit about what's going to happen to the housing market in the Denver metro area over about the next year. So I'm being asked this question all the time, are prices going to fall in Denver metro? And I think on average the prices are going to be stable. We're probably going to see 3 or 4% price increases over the next couple of years, probably about the rate of what inflation will settle out to. But not every neighborhood is going to do exactly the same. So if you were active in the real estate market back in 2007 and 8, you'll remember that the Denver market had a 25% price reduction during those years. But what was interesting is that every neighborhood was slightly different. Some of the really premier neighborhoods like the Highlands and Berkeley and Sunnyside and parts of Washington Park saw no decline at all, while the overall market dropped by 25%. On the other hand, entry-level neighborhoods like North Aurora in the southwest corner of Denver County, parts of Commerce City and Thornton, very inexpensive homes, very appropriate for a first-time buyer just trying to get into their first place, saw really dramatic price declines, more in the range of 50 to 70% declines. So the important message for us to learn from history in the 2007 and 8 correction is that the overall market decline of 25% has no bearing whatsoever on how an individual neighborhood performed. I think we'll see a more moderated version of that in this little transition period that we're going through right now. Overall, home prices shouldn't go down, but they will for some neighborhoods. Some neighborhoods will see good appreciation through this correction period. Some neighborhoods are going to go down. How do we know which ones will be which? Well, last time, the way you could predict that was the average sales price. The more expensive the neighborhood, the more likely it would not have a price drop. The really affordable neighborhoods, almost all had really material price drops. In the transition period we're seeing so far, there's no pattern like that whatsoever. So let's drill down and take a look at two specific neighborhoods and look at their metrics and how they perform. So the worst performer was Wildflower Ponds. That's one section within Arvada, and of the 600 and some neighborhoods we track, it has the honor of doing the worst. So the number of sold homes overall in the market between the second quarter of this year, second quarter of last year was off by 7%. Wildflower was off by 35, so their sales count really declined by a lot more than was typical. The average price change in those two time periods for the whole metro was plus 17%. Wildflower was only up 2%, so they didn't see much for appreciation. What about the days on market change? Overall for the market, it was like an extra 4 hours, literally, that it took to sell a house. For Wildflower, it took 38 days longer on average to sell a house. And last but not least, what happened from a discounting standpoint? The premium paid was about 1% less overall, and for Wildflower it was 4% less. So that's looking at the final transaction price compared to the asking price. So Wildflower did a lot less well on all four of these market health indices compared to the overall market. I'm predicting to see if we're going to see any markets that have a decline in prices, it'll be neighborhoods like Wildflower that'll see price declines over the next 6 or 12 months. Let's look at a resilient one by comparison. So I'm going to look at the southern part of Commerce City, and this one did really, really well. So if we take a look at the number that were sold, you can see that we had a 130% increase in sales volume when the overall market dropped by 7%. So a really strong increase in sales velocity. What about the price change? Average price was up by 42% in the southern part of Commerce City versus the overall market was up 17% in the same time period. Looking at days on market, the overall market took like an extra 4 hours, I'm just joking there, half a day, to sell on your days on market. This market took 3 days less time to be able to go under contract. And last but not least, we saw that the premiums being paid were a little bit less by a half point for the overall market, and in South Commerce City it was actually 3% more of a premium than the overall market. So they outperformed on every single one of these metrics. So my guess is that we're going to see over the next 6 to 12 months that neighborhoods like South Commerce City will actually see more appreciation than the market average. So stay tuned, and we're going to track this and see if we can't predict how they're all going to do.